One of the most celebrated NHL coaches in history. Mike Keenan's career spanned decades with 8 teams in the NHL, and he's chronicling his journey with his memoir out today, Iron Mike, My Life Behind the Bench, alongside sports writer Scott Morrison. Welcome to CB24 Breakfast, both of you. Scott, welcome back. You were here for draft day with Doug McLean just a few months ago, so it's nice to see you again. But Mike, of course, we're here to talk about you and your new book here. You Google Mike Keenan. It's not hard to find opinions about Mike Keenan. Is this book sort of your case to sort of defend yourself, defend your record? Why did you write this?
I don't think it's defending anything. I think it's just kind of a summary of my career and what I did, and from the beginning, even starting here in Toronto and Forest Hill, coaching high school hockey through the National League, and of course Russia, China, and Italy. So Scott did a super job. Jay Greenberg started it. He would poke the bear, and then Scott, the passing of Jay, Scott was editing and agreed to carry it on. Hall of Fame writer, did a super job. So
yeah, it's a great read, and it really, to me, it felt like an encyclopedia of hockey over the last several decades. Scott, what was appealing to you about working with Mike on this in particular?
Well, his career has been fantastic, to put it mildly, when you think of the many stops he had, and everywhere he went, there was a story. There was controversy, there was success. Everywhere he went, he won every league that he was in. So I knew there was going to be a million great stories. And to your original question, I don't think he defends himself, and here he explains himself, and he admits that he made some mistakes along the way that was maybe a bit excessive with some of the players, but also there was method to the madness. Yeah,
it's a pretty candid, I think, assessment really of your career, and you're pretty self-reflective on that here as well, Mike. The success you had, I mean, starting in Philadelphia, taking that team all the way to the Cup in your first year, ultimately getting the Rangers, getting over the jinx of, what was that, 54 years without a Cup. These successes, do you think that you're a special coach, or how do you look back on your career and think, how did I get teams to succeed so well so quickly?
That's a great question, and it's been asked many times. I think that I was one part of the equation, but you have to have great players, great leadership, talent, and people that are really engaged in the objective of winning. It's not easy to win. It's abnormal behavior, and sometimes I had the temperature up a little bit too high. But,
you were obsessed with winning.
I was, and but
that's the goal.
That's what you're supposed to be doing if you're in pro sport. The idea is to win.
So what's changed now? Like, do you think you could coach in the NHL now the way players are, or what are your thoughts on that?
That would be an interesting challenge. But I coached in 5 different decades, so you have to evolve with the generations, with the new ideas of young people and what they expect. So it would be a challenge, but I just stopped coaching a few months ago, so that might be a possibility, but I don't expect to be doing that anymore.
Okay, that would be interesting to see you back behind the bench. Scott, what are your thoughts on the Mike Keenan that we know that we're finding out even more of through the book here? I mean, he's very candid about how he drove his players, some of those practices he puts them through, some of the heated conversations, some of the disagreements, some of the, almost hatred, it would seem, between you and some of the players, perhaps. Do you think a guy like Mike could still coach in the league?
Well, as Mike said, you evolve, and things that he did, 20, 30 years ago wouldn't happen today. It's a different time and different mindset, and the players have more control than they had back in the day, too. The coach was the taskmaster, so... but if you're a good coach, I always said it about players, a guy who was a star in the 60s would be a star today because he would be a different player. He would evolve with the times and change with the times, and I think Mike would too.
Mike, the Stanley Cup is the pinnacle of NHL hockey. There's no doubt about that. And you devote a couple of chapters to your time in New York and your ability to get that team to the Cup, to win. I mean, the amazing playoff run you went through. Is that your most proudest achievement in hockey? Is it that?
Well, it has to be. Mark Messier did the forward.
He was great forward, yeah.
And you have the leadership amongst the group. He was the leader, but there were other great leaders in the room as well. And it was a great accomplishment to win in New York. But that was special because of a year-long project and a long season. The Canada Cups were special as well. Maybe the greatest hockey ever played in '87 against the Soviet Union, coaching in Russia. So I had a lot of great stops and great memories, but that was certainly the pinnacle of my career.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk to you about the Canada Cup because, of course, you had Gretzky and Lemieux that you were holding back, that you had a plan to play them on the same line at some point. Of course, you did it on the power play, but then, of course, you brought them out when you needed them to. And you talk about in the book how Gretzky really brought Mario along and really opened him up. Like that, behind the bench, watching that team must have been remarkable. But those two players in particular, like, do you look back at that and say, these were like the two greatest players ever? Like,
well, we had a lot of Hall of Famers on that
indeed,
team.
yeah.
But the two of them working together were dynamic and magical, and we were able to finish off the tournament for us in a successful way. But the two of them, Wayne really mentored Mario at the time. He did it for two reasons. He wanted us to win and have a better team, and he also wanted to be pushed. He needed somebody in that league at that time to push him, and certainly Mario did that. So it was a great experience and fun for all of us to be involved in that championship team.
Your
that was the case, too, of how you and your leadership group came together as that tournament evolved.
Yeah, that was pretty fascinating, that whole, the way you were all working together. Indeed. Mike Keenan, Scott Morrison, good to talk to you both. Good luck with the book, Iron Mike. Mike Keenan, pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. Okay, Scott, nice seeing you again.
Likewise.
Okay.